I made a video sometime back where I was talking about how even the men who consider themselves responsible or good men are actually still dangerous. And here's what I want to say because of this comment. Looking at the video that he dropped, this comment is the video where I was talking about how divorces happen between the first 10 years of marriages, and it happens because of childbirth and because it is a very stressful moment for women. They don't get help and support from the men that they marry. And a lady in the comment section said motherhood is hard, and this is what this guy has to say. And he said he's talking about responsible fathers. But here's the thing, this goes further to show you lack of empathy, yeah, and somebody trying to center themselves in everything. That video was a space created for women that they were able to vent what goes on in their lives. And this woman said how hard motherhood is for her. And somehow this guy feels the need to infiltrate these female spaces as well, which I consider a very parasitic behavior. So he's there to get validation and say that he too is trying. Imagine somebody dragging accolades of being of responsibility with you. But here's what I want to say specifically for him. You have to understand that the fact that the person has to be responsible for the responsibility to be considered hard is even a luxury and a privilege that women do not have. So a woman cannot say, I'm talking about responsible mothers. I know that we jumble up the idea of being responsible as a mother to a woman's personal life. So you can see a woman who is considered wayward when it comes to her personal life, like maybe sleeping around with men or doing things like that. They consider it a wayward person. So instead of the society to say she is a wayward or an irresponsible person, they go to say she's an irresponsible mother. But no, it has nothing to do with her motherhood. Yeah, she may be a responsible mother but an irresponsible person. Don't forget that a man who has children can also be sleeping around and will still not be considered an irresponsible father. Rather, they would be able to separate that he's an irresponsible man, but he's a responsible father. Men can decide to be responsible or decide not to be. And you cannot say fatherhood is harder than motherhood, because the responsibility of motherhood mostly is biologically given. So there is more pressure on a woman even from biology than there is from a woman for a man. So I don't get your argument of saying it is harder. Like, if you are a father, you mean to tell me you looked at your wife and what she had to go through, and with everything you saw from pregnancy till childbirth till breastfeeding era and nursing the baby into adulthood, if you are a father and you saw all of that and you still believe that fatherhood is harder than motherhood, then you are just proving what I said in the video that I know you did not see, that I said that even the men who consider themselves good men are not necessarily good, because there is no way you will see that and compare it to fatherhood. Furthermore, this is a deflective sentence because I'm not a man, neither are you a woman. So which means you had no right to comment that fatherhood is harder than motherhood. You just caught yourself. That's by the way. I don't need to be a man. I am a human being. So the fact that you guys like to make it look as if people are so different. No. When you feel pain, a man can feel pain, a woman can feel pain. So when another person is going through pain, you know that this person's pain is definitely more than my own pain. So I don't have to exactly be that person for me to know that their pain is greater than the pain that I go through. Let's even talk about the pain of motherhood. I have a friend who had 3 kids. For every of those children, she had lost a tooth to every of those pregnancies. I know somebody who lost the use of her legs because she had children because of pregnancy. A woman went for cesarean section and somehow the doctors made a mistake and sort of tampered with one of her kidneys. That is the risks that women take in order to have children. Let's not even talk about the women who lost their lives in the process. A lot of women who have children that you know now, they have back pain because of, I think, epidural also. They have back pain and they are going to struggle with that all their lives. Now tell me, how many men will ever have to go through that because they had children? This your ideology. That sentence that you said, fatherhood is harder, is just, because that just typically shows lack of empathy, and I even think lack of awareness as well. Imagine if this guy has a wife, with all the stress that this woman would have to go through, he is definitely not going to be appreciative of everything that she has done, because he generally already considers his own effort higher than her own effort. So God forbid, but in a case of a divorce, he will not feel the need to let that divorce be peaceful, because he believes that he has lost more in the relationship than she has lost. So whatever it is that I said in that video, this guy's comment, who is considered a good man, but the reason why I'm picking this particular one is because a lot of women can easily skip over this kind of comment and assume that the person is a good person. Yeah, but this kind of a person is more dangerous than the ones who are verbally expressive about how ignorant they are. The reason is, with such a person, you already know that is a no-go area from the onset. But with this one, you would genuinely believe that they are good people. So you will be less careful with this one and be more careful with that one, of which you should be more careful with both of them. Because what does it, let's even consider what a responsible father is. A responsible father typically is who provides for his family financially and gives support. Do you understand? He only supports. So maybe if the baby is crying at night, he wakes up to care for the baby. And don't forget that that woman has to breastfeed, so she has to wake up as well. Even if you're waking up, she has to wake up to breastfeed the child. So maybe it gets to a point where she has weaned the child. Yes, you can wake up and let her sleep, but anybody who has been a mother or even has been around children know that she cannot sleep. As long as that baby is not sleeping, she cannot sleep. And I did not make anything or any statement in that video to take away from the fact that there are men who are supportive to their wives, but you felt the need to be the center of attraction in that video by further telling me to balance what I'm saying. I don't need to balance it. I don't need to do anything to please you, because this is a space where it is created for women, yet you feel the need to be parasitic on the space because you want to be centered. You want everything to be centered around you. If I'm saying anything that is not about you, you want me to have disclaimers here and there. You want me to involve you by all means. But if it is a male space where they are talking about male problems, because you actually have a TikTok page, you can develop a community for men who are responsible fathers to go and vent about how they feel. But instead of doing that, you're here trying to argue that fatherhood is harder than motherhood. And then here are some of the reasons that I do not take statistics seriously, especially when it is pulled out by men, because you guys will say anything just to prove your point. What you're trying to do here is to water down the efforts of mothers in a household. A lot of people who struggle will tell you that they struggled a lot in the absence of their mother. Even people who lost their mother. So you're saying this, that people who had father figures turned out a lot better. The only reason is because children are actually supposed to be raised in a double parent household. So typically any child that is raised in a double parent household will do better than a child who is raised in a single parent household. So this is very typical. So it is not necessarily the presence of the father that is doing the job. The fact that they have both parents, and any child raised in a loving relationship, not even just the presence of fathers, a loving relationship will typically do better. And for you to say that children need their fathers more than they need their mothers, can you see how you want to be the center of everything by all means? I do not want to go through this whole explanation for you to understand, But all these researches that you people are pulling out does not make sense, because sometimes you will hear them say a child raised by, because I know that after this video you may want to say a child raised by a single father does better than a child raised by a single mother, which is not true, by the way. But let's just go further. A child, because most likely the how many percentage of single fathers that there is, mostly the men will run and leave these women to raise their children alone. And if a woman ever leaves a man with the children, he gets a lot of support from other females. So that mother figure is usually quickly filled by another woman. So it could be the father's new girlfriend, but or new girlfriend, or his family members who are female. But the same is not for women. Women do not get that grace. If a father is absent in the life of his child, there's hardly a man to want to fill in that shoes. So it takes, even the men who come later and try to fill in the shoes, they end up leaving those children with a lot of trauma. Some even sexually abuse those children, physically abuse those children, etc. So this your conclusion still does not make sense. Yeah, you're just trying to water down the efforts that women actually put into the society and raising children as a whole. So you can see that in as much as you're trying to convince me that you're a responsible man, there is nothing convincing about all the points that you have made. Rather, you have further encouraged me to believe that even the men who consider themselves good men are not actually good men, because this is not coming from a good point. And this brings me to what I want to say. Yeah, besides, the video you were dropping all these comments on has nothing, it was not even necessarily talking about parenthood. The focus of that video was on divorce, and that women do not get support when they have children. So because of that, that's why the divorces happen between the first 10 years of marriage. Furthermore, the end of that video, what I encapsulated generally is that other women who rush into marrying, so the point of the video generally said was women who rush into marrying men who are divorcees should actually pay attention to why those men are divorced, because most women lack support. So you are most likely not going to get support as well. So that is what I was talking about. But of course, you like to deflect from the main issue. Whatever puts light on you is what you will do, right? Now, this brings me to why I'm making this video. I'm not even necessarily making this video because of him, but I'm just using his comments to draw attention of women to understand that you have to be very, very careful, because when it comes to men, they can hide in so many different ways. They can hide to even act as if they are good, just so, but at the end of the day, the goal is still the same. So just like I said in the first video that I talk about men being good, you have to find out that even among the good ones, you have to find the one that does not have a problem with you taking your glory. He does not have a problem with you, with applauding you for the efforts that you've done. He does not have a problem with you shining. And besides, that was not even a thing of shining. People were literally venting their frustration. So you have to, for a grown adult, for a grown man, one thing a grown man has to understand is he has to know how to read the room. Even if you feel the need to drop this comment, that was a very shallow way to do it, because you cannot come to tell somebody who is expressing themselves, is somebody who is venting their frustration about their lives, then you're there to tell them that your own frustration is more than their own. So what do you expect? The person should be thankful to you that you have more frustration than their own, or does that reduce the level of frustration that the person feels? So it is important for you as a woman to be able to get these red flags from men pretty quickly, because they can do that thing subtly. It can just be like a subliminal message and you will not get it. So that is the reason why I'm making this video. These comments that you made were very insensitive. It lacks emotional intelligence and it lacks empathy.